Bridge Community Church. I wanted to take just a moment to talk to you about the upcoming sermon series, The Way of Jesus. Starting this Sunday, we're going to spend 8 weeks looking at Jesus' life through the Gospel of Luke. We're going to look at 8 behaviors of Jesus, or ways that he acted, the ways that Jesus obeyed, and the way that he loved, the way that he bore the cross, the way that he prayed, the way that he confronted and even brought correction to people. We want to look at how he acted and model our lives the same way, and trust that through the power of the Spirit we can become more like Jesus and better followers of him. So I'm looking forward to these 8 weeks, and I hope that you are too. Some of the ways that you can get ready for the series is to read the Gospel of Luke, and in reading it, get an idea of the big picture, because we're going to jump around from story to story, but Luke writes a gospel in such a way that the reader can know it's part of God's plan, that the stories relate with things that happen in the Old Testament. In other words, take, for example, the birth account of Jesus, that here you have a priest named Zechariah and his wife Elizabeth who are older, and they can't have kids until a message comes from God that you're going to be pregnant and you're going to have children. And it reminds you of another story, right? Abraham and Sarah, who were in the same predicament that started this whole thing. Abraham was given a message from God that they were going to have kids in their old age, and Sarah laughed about it. The same way Zechariah gets this message from God. He questions it. He finds himself silent for a long time until the birth of John the Baptist, where he rejoices and sings a song. Here you have Mary, this teenage mom who gets a message from the Lord that she's going to give birth to the Messiah, and she sings a song. So these first couple of chapters are really rejoicing that God's doing something new, but something that he started a long time ago. It's connected to Israel's past, but it's part of their future. And so you'll read through the gospel and you'll find certain themes where it's kind of like Jesus takes everything and turns it upside down. That people who were dishonored in society are now like heroes in the story. For example, the Good Samaritan. Jewish folks would not consider anything good about a Samaritan, and yet he becomes the hero in the parable because he chooses to love his neighbor. Jesus engages with women, something that isn't common in that first century time for a rabbi. In other words, women were pushed off to the margins, like children were also, and people who were sick. And Jesus is like, I'm going to them. I'm even going to go to a tax collector and go to his house and have dinner with him and have a relationship with him. And you see that by Jesus going to these people, their lives are transformed and they change. Jesus is also known to have dinner with religious leaders. But the interesting thing is, he responds to their invitation, but Jesus invites the other people to fellowship with him. There's so many things we could talk about in the Gospel of Luke. I've been reading it and I've been really excited about it, so I'm kind of like a fire hose of information right now, but I encourage you to read it yourself. I encourage you to check out the Gospel Project videos. These short videos will help you understand the big picture so that the sermons might even be a little more interesting, and you'll be able to put that one story we talk about in context to the big story of the Gospel of Luke. So buckle up. It's going to be a great time. We're praying and believing and trusting God for great growth during these next 8 weeks, and we hope that you'll come along for the ride.